Hello, welcome to Hour in Africa here on France 24. I'm Jean-Emile Jameen, covering all your news from across the continent. Let's take a look at your top headlines. The United Nations warns of escalating attacks in Sudan, saying the warring military and paramilitary forces are fueling the fires and igniting regional instability. With over 24,000 deaths and 11 million displaced in the country, the organization has once again called for a ceasefire and accountability for violations of international humanitarian law. Then South Africa files what it calls evidence of genocide by Israel in Gaza in its case with the International Court of Justice. Israel vehemently denies the 5,000 pages of allegations, calling them blood libel. And we head to the bustling hub that is the Lagos Fashion Week in Nigeria, where Demiji Ilori is showcasing work on sustainable fashion and recycled materials while hoping to change perceptions of African design and boost the local textile industry. Welcome to the show here. Well, the United Nations Security Council met in New York this Monday to discuss the violence in Sudan, where civilians are increasingly caught in the crossfire. The reality of the situation was laid bare in al-Jazira state on Friday when rapid support forces ran riot, killing more than 120 people in one town alone. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has warned of increased chances of regional instability, mass famine and displacement. Our regional correspondent Bastien Renouy provides more details about this latest meeting.
At least 127 people were killed by the rapid support forces during the past 5 days in the eastern part of al-Jazira state in Sudan. According to a local monitoring group, 200 more people were injured and 150 were arrested and detained by the rapid support forces. These are atrocious crimes, said Clementine Kweta Salami, the UN local coordinator in Sudan. In a statement, she cites reports of rape, targeted attacks, sexual violence and mass killings. So how is it possible to explain these violences against civilians in al-Jazira state? It seems that the rapid support forces are retaliating after the defection of one of their local commanders. He's called Abu Akila Kikil. He defected on the 20th of October to join the Sudanese military. In response to the escalating violence, al-Jazira's governor issued a statement calling for a general mobilization of everyone able to bear arms in every city, every village and every neighborhood to counter the rapid support forces. During their meeting in New York this Monday, the members of the UN Security Council spoke about the events in al-Jazira state, but unfortunately, according to the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, violence against civilians have been increasing during the past months and during the past weeks, even if it's impossible to quantify them at the moment.
Well, following on from that, our correspondent in Washington, Fraser Jackson, will be speaking to the US's Special Envoy for Sudan, Tom Perriello, at the State Department. That interview will be aired on Tuesday in Eye on Africa. Please make sure to take a watch. In neighboring Chad, a hunt is underway for a group of Boko Haram militants, which killed around 40 army troops overnight near the Nigerian border. In a statement, Chad's presidency said the attack struck near Ngubua. The country's president, Mohamed Idris Deby Itno, visited the scene early on Monday, soon after launching the operation to find the assailants. Meanwhile, fighting has resumed between the Burundian army and the Red Tabara group over the past week. In a statement, the rebels claim to have killed Burundian soldiers during clashes in South Kivu in the DRC, but the army quickly denied this. France 24's Clément Di Roma has the details.
The Burundian army spokesperson claims that the Red Tabara armed group is losing ground after suffering heavy losses in recent clashes. This response follows a statement by the rebels who claim to have killed 45 Burundian soldiers, including several officers in intense fighting in the Itombwe region of South Kivu in the DRC near the border with Burundi. This death toll, however, is disputed by the National Defense Forces. In December 2023, after years of inactivity, Red Tabara struck near Bujumbura, the economic capital, killing around 20 people in an attack. 2 months later, in February, the armed group re-entered Burundi, killing at least 9 people. In response to these attacks, the government accused Rwanda of supporting Red Tabara and subsequently closed all its borders with the neighboring country in January. These accusations have always been denied by Kigali, which also accuses Burundi of collaborating with the FDLR rebels based in the DR Congo, whose members are genocide suspects opposed to the Rwandan government.
Let's turn to some diplomatic news now. South Africa has submitted what it calls evidence to the International Court of Justice, alleging that Israel has committed genocide in Gaza and has violated the 1948 Genocide Convention. The document, termed a memorial, includes over 750 pages of claims and 4,000 pages of supporting exhibits. Israel denies the allegations amidst the ongoing conflict that has resulted in significant Palestinian casualties following the October 7th attacks by Hamas. Laurent Berstecker has more.
Determined to pursue its legal case against Israel, South Africa submitted a 5,000-page document to the International Court of Justice, which it says contains proof that the Jewish state willingly committed genocide in Gaza.
Israel has violated the Genocide Convention by promoting the destruction of Palestinians living in Gaza, depriving them access to humanitarian assistance and using starvation as a weapon of war.
South Africa said the procedure sought to mobilize the same international solidarity which helped bring an end to the apartheid 30 years ago and called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon. On Monday, dozens of people gathered outside Cape Town's High Court to voice their support for the case and to express solidarity with the Palestinian people.
We have to do everything that we can to stand firm, to create a difference, to make sure that this stops before every single Gazan is dead.
Israel is an egregious lawbreaker. It has no respect for the rule of law, and it has failed to implement the ICJ's ruling in January this year when it held that there was a plausible case of it committing genocide.
Since the procedure was launched in December 2023, the ICJ has issued several emergency rulings denouncing Israel's actions in Gaza and ordering it to halt its military offensive on Rafah. But despite being legally binding under international law, all these injunctions have so far been ignored.
The Secretary General of Malawi's opposition party, UTM, Patricia Kaliati, has been charged with plotting to assassinate President Lazarus Chakwera, sparking political uproar. Arrested last week, Kaliati has maintained her innocence in court this Monday, as her lawyer argued the charges are politically motivated. Supporters rallied outside, singing anti-government songs there, the court granting her bail despite the state's request for continued detention for another week, while two alleged co-conspirators remained at large. Kaliati, a former primary school teacher known for her bold personality, is vying to replace the late Saulos Chilima as UTM leader and challenge Chakwera in the upcoming election. Moving on, and the race towards the Senegalese legislative election has kicked off as well as parties launched their campaigns this weekend. Following President Bassirou Diomaye Faye's decision to dissolve parliament in September, November's election is set to be a decisive moment for the ruling PASTEF party. Our correspondent in Dakar, Caitlin Kelly, tells us more of the key players in the vote.
There's an electric atmosphere in Dakar's 15,000-seat stadium as the ruling party PASTEF gears up for next month's legislative elections. Chaired by Prime Minister Sonko, supporters flock to the fundraising event confident that their party will be victorious.
The people are on PASTEF's side, on the side of the new regime, which needs a majority to bring about major changes.
If it pleases God, we'll have a majority in the National Assembly.
President Diomaye Faye's PASTEF party will face three major opposition coalitions, including the newly formed bloc of Liberals and Democrats, Takuwalu in Wolof. The alliance is a combination of the former ruling parties, with previous presidents Macky Sall and Abdoulaye Wade at the helm.
The main, first and only objective is to have a majority in the National Assembly. It's to be able to arrive in force at the National Assembly to restore Senegalese democracy to push the new authorities and the new government in place to deal with the problems of the Senegalese people.
Before dissolution in September, Senegalese parliament was dominated by the former Benno Bokk Yakaar coalition, which supported Macky Sall. But now other opposition coalitions have appeared, such as Jamagading, led by presidential run-up Amadou Ba, and the Sam Sakadou coalition, run by Dakar's mayor Barthélémy Dias.
We've rallied around the Sam Sakadou coalition, a generational bloc whose average age isn't even 40. We have many desirable candidates that the Senegalese people need for this new parliament. We need a parliament that will bring about change.
Following President Diomaye Faye's popular election victory earlier this year, some say he'll emerge as the frontrunner. Last week, the president reassured people that the polls would be fair and transparent, and called on all parties to exercise restraint. Given all 165 seats in the National Assembly are at stake, this election caps off a year of seismic political change here in Senegal.
Finally, let's head to the end of Lagos Fashion Week. It did finish on October 27th. It was launched in 2011 and has since become one of the major gatherings for African fashion designers and professionals at a time when Nigeria is in a deep economic and political post-COVID depression. The Nigerian fashion industry is clinging on to the Lagos Fashion Week to make its sector one of the main contributors to GDP. Chinwe Osondu threads the magic with one particular designer in this story.
Dimeji Lawrence is a fashion designer who is doing final touches on his creatives for the Lagos Fashion Week. He works on sustainable creations and finds inspiration in recycled materials.
We've been waiting for this moment a very, very long time, and we're going to seize the opportunity to bring fire to the runway, make a statement that is going to last a lifetime in everybody's mind.
Lagos Fashion Week has become a major fashion annual event in Africa. Every year, dozens of designers present their collections in front of a demanding public. The show attracts emerging and establishing talents and also organizes training courses to help revive the textile industry in Nigeria.
To empower one designer is to create opportunities for empowering possibly up to 10 to 15 more people, within any given community. So those are some of the things that inspire us to do what we do.
A few moments before the catwalk, Dimeji helps this model to put on one of his works. The top of this outfit is both a bustier and a mask, made from a mat woven by craft women in Sokoto in northwest Nigeria. Dimeji often incorporates cowrie shells symbolizing prosperity. A self-taught designer who is convinced that Lagos Fashion Week will help him bounce back on the international scene.
This platform is like a stepping stone to get more visibility, and after this I think we'll look into trying to do more international shows, tell more people about Africa and what we can do to just change the whole narrative of what has been the cliche of an African fashion brand or an African design.
According to its organizers, the Lagos Fashion Week attracts 1,000 visitors each season.
Dimeji Lori, one of the up-and-coming fashion designers in Nigeria. And of course, you can catch up all these stories on our website, france24.com. That's it for us here on Eye on Africa. There's more news coming up on France 24.